Hello everyone, this is another trading session. It's here. So basically I'm looking for a situation, and although, this one won't work. And I'm back right away. Let's get to the point. An interesting point. For some reason, the price continues to behave unpredictably and doesn't react. But it makes sense, the approach with such good candles. There wasn't even the slightest pullback from the buyers at all. It doesn't smell like a retest at all. Where are we heading like this? What's up there? Whoa, 4-hour candles, just so you understand. So right here I see that there were news. What's going on with this candle? What on this candle? So it's quite possible that a reaction could happen from here. Reaction from the buyers. All right, let's take a look at the 15-minute chart, how it looks. So a reaction could happen from here. I need to scroll back to see how this will look on the 15-minute chart. This maximum is good. There was a good downward movement from here. Logically, we are going to go through one good stop and then another good stop. No, guys, I'm going to look at the audio cat. So I have it open. I'm going to look at the audio cat for a downward movement. I'll prepare 750 here. I don't believe that we'll pass such a good stop without the slightest pullback. It takes effort to do that, and then we'll immediately go through the second one without any pullback, especially since the next one is very far away. I mean, not high, but far away. No matter how you look at it, it's a pullback. I'm going to watch here. So there are also moments with the news. We also saw a good influx from here on very high volumes. The reaction happened. It didn't happen right the way through the candle, but it did happen. So if I take this good level that has formed, look, it's breaking through, it's getting established above it, going into a sideways movement, and then it continues on. So we actually didn't see such a good level of pullback movement. This is just Lutev. Our flights into space on the financial market aren't ending. We're flying through very strongly. Okay, here's more. It's too early to say anything for a few minutes. The maximum hasn't been reached. For now, let's wait a little bit. Nevertheless, we're flying past this maximum without any problems at all. Again, the big seller candle isn't getting any bigger, even at this moment. That's certainly sad. For the cluster, it's still the zones of interest below the middle. Guys, well, as much as I don't want to, I guess I'll have to switch gears. We'll do what it wants to do. Let's let it play out by its rules. There's absolutely no reaction. Absolutely no reaction. Right now, I see resistance appearing up there at the very top. But damn, the volume should at least reveal that there should be more sellers. It's not there. It's not there. We're waiting. So basically here, it feels like we're flying into space. 40 seconds left until the end. Movement like this. I have no words, honestly. Retracements are really not showing themselves well in this market right now. I think I won't continue much longer here. This is flying up for me and I'll go up. I don't want to use it. So I'll go look for the next situation for now. In any case, this is a plus. There's also an upward trend. And now we need to go to the maximum to update. So 1 second, plus. All right, look. From the first catch, the setup, the nearest one for the buyer who can play will be in this area. The buyer needs not only to reach this stop from where we saw a good downward movement, but also to surpass their previous maximum. A good solid candle. Logically, we have an upward trend. At this moment, we're not letting the seller go down. We're going up again. For what purpose? In order to accordingly update their maximum and further extend their trend, right? Is it logical according to the market profile? According to the market profile, we have a good concentration above. Top 1, concentration. Top 2, concentration of volume. Here in this place, it's good. There's nothing. It can definitely fly by, but there's also a top 3 volume here for from where a reaction might occur. It's touching with this matter, after all. From here, it's quite possible that there could be a reaction from the seller. My main task right now is to understand if I can enter on the breakout. Let this previous maximum reach this area. It's interesting. We're passing it with the seller below. The seller's volume is less, the buyer's is more out USD. I'm going to try to enter on the USD out for an upward movement. Out, USD. In this situation, I'll try to use 2 minutes to start with. 2 minutes. For what reason? Maybe I can take it plus up to this maximum. Maybe 2 minutes will be enough for me, because a pullback movement can happen from here. Maybe it's quite possible, but this candle should be bought back. Either we should buy it back upon its closing. There's resistance because this pullback movement from the seller is unclear to me right now. Looking at the volume overall, the buyer is more than the seller compared to the previous candle. The area of interest remains at the bottom of the candle, and we're passing through it, closing the body on good volume, also upward. That is a lot of facts. Overall, the situation is also favorable to go higher. There is liquidity there. Let's see what comes of it. Minutes to go. It's too early to open a position. We're waiting. So I'm experiencing a strong pullback in the opposite direction. So I'm taking 4 minutes for a rise. Logically, it's unclear where the strong side of the candle is coming from. It's not pleasant at all. There's a minute left and it's moving in the opposite direction. Absolutely. There are more sellers and you can't feel the buyers at all. But now we're going to approach to this one. Here at the stop, where there have been many attempts by the seller to do something, the buyer has shown themselves. In the end, we saw this kind of candle. It's quite likely that the buyer will pick up from this stop in this trend. Could I have expected this? No, that's to be expected. I couldn't. 33 seconds. I'm not going to hope for that anymore, so a position will be added here. The second position will be added for 5 minutes. So there are about 15 minutes left. So that's what's happening for now. There is a reaction. From the local level, everything is more or less fine with the trend. We're waiting for another minute until the end. There's a little time left, and plus there's some in points. It doesn't look that serious. Not cool, they are great, but nevertheless, the reality is she gave me 2 positions to add. Plus, moving on. To look for situations further, GBP Sochify would have entered for an upward movement in this situation. Let's go with GBP Sochify. 67% is low. Of course, 5 minutes for an upward movement is not enough, but we'll have to play a bit more. Open the positions. Here's the reason for entering in this last interval. I see a good upward movement. I see that in the last candles, there were attempts to push the sellers down everywhere. We're moving quietly, but we're still moving up. On the way, there will be this maximum that was reached just recently. It's unlikely that we're letting the seller pass in this situation to take off from here again. But the only thing to consider is that there's a sideways movement here. So again, the situation still remains in favor of the buyer. There's a very interesting little detail above, and it's not just a little detail, it's a detail. So on this impulse candle, that's where one of the larger volumes is present. So again, my opinion remains that we have liquidity here and that this distance to the nearest volume is important. And up to this stop, I can try to take my profit because we're not letting them through. I'll make it bigger. We're not letting the seller go down. We're buying the candle, holding it in our favor. There are more buyers than sellers in this candle. I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. No, I took 5 minutes here, guys. No need, we can react from this moment and go down already. Well, here, of course, yes, there's a big mistake, but it's hard. I currently have the impression that everything I used to know about expiration time, about how I could pick it before, just doesn't work in today's market. I haven't really adapted to this new market after Trump, damn it, but it really started to behave very poorly. These sharp movements out of nowhere are really starting to annoy me. Well, and this could be a mistake for me, meaning the movement went up, I saw that. But because we made that move very quickly, we automatically hit the area, and that area is also supported by these volumes. We could see a quick pullback in the opposite direction, and I might just not fit into that time since it's very large. Yes, that's the moment I was talking about, and if it manages to wipe me out in a minute and 40 seconds, no one will be to blame. I'll be to blame. I can't adjust to the mechanics of binary options and find the right timing while watching the price movement. There are 5 seconds left until the end, plus I'm definitely taking it. Well, over time, of course, there was also a problem with the selection being incorrect. I was logically trying to take it up to this point. I would have taken it. It's also logical that a retracement movement is happening from here, the area plus the volume. Here's another situation moving forward, and the VZD is also there. A new approach, approaching a big stop. Dad. To be honest, it's quite sad. The next stop is at increased volumes, which is important. It was also at increased volumes due to the news. For me, this is a large amount of prices that have selling volumes, because we saw a good downward movement from here. Let's look at it logically. Right now, the bullish trend in this area is getting even stronger. We're approaching with strong candles, meaning we're logically moving towards breaking the nearest high. So let's look for something regarding the weakness of this movement. Can we enter for a downward move? The volume is increasing on the seller while it's dropping on the buyer with this candle, but still, look, we're continuing to fly higher. I see the candle all in the cluster for the buyer. So right now I don't feel the seller anywhere. Logically, we're moving to update this high, and everything that can be done in this situation. Oh dear, the concentration of volumes is tightening. A strong support zone in this situation. Let's go with USD CAD. I'll try for a bullish move to the maximum. Yeah, go ahead with your 58%. I shouldn't have analyzed everything. So overall, I went through a series. I haven't found the situation yet. Now we're going to look at everything from scratch, from tops to bottom, and trying to find something. And USD CAD. I think the very first one was working out for a bullish move. What happened? We did move higher, and now we're approaching a 4-hour stop. By the way, this 4-hour stop can be called not just a stop, but apparently a decent level. This will most likely be an attempt to sell what we're approaching. Take a look at which candle. So the candle is really strong, and its volume confirms that. So in this candle, all right, I don't need the 4-hour chart anymore. So regarding the volumes, I think I mentioned that, yeah, there was no point in going higher. It's time to go down for liquidity. So for me, I can see an entry for a bearish move here. The area looks quite extensive on the 4-hour chart. So given the limited time, I need to think about what the right thing to do in this situation is. The area is large. The best seller should appear after the highs are taken out. Okay, the seller is growing while the buyer is falling on this candle. There was an attempt to go down, but the buyers are buying up the candle. Right now, I want to look at the nearest highs. So the nearest high will be located. So in this area, after which a pullback movement might occur. Let me think. We didn't come here with the intention of immediately flying down upon touching down. That's definitely a no. If I go in on the strong side as a buyer right now for an upward move, where am I supposed to take my follow-up if it goes down? So I don't see any nearby places for a follow-up in this situation at all. So I will just be opening entries for an upward move on the strong side, because this correction won't be big since the buyer hasn't accomplished anything yet. Let's try to enter ODCAT one more time. What do you do with the percentages? What are these percentages? 66. Let's enter for 5 minutes on the bullish side. And let's prepare 750 here. Now, so my main task is to capture the movement up to this line. This is the line of the nearest high for the price that will be in its way. Here it is. This high, this is not just a high, but where it comes from. Look, we're not letting the buyer go higher. And in the end, we're seeing an incredible move downwards. So there was some volume concentrated for selling at these price levels. We can see this. By the way, the news played a role in that too. Look, it was already lower. The news didn't reverse the price either. It brought it down. Well, okay, the news is not so important either. It was already there later. Overall, I'll be pushing for a bullish move with the strong side. If you need to focus on something, a literal stop where you can catch the buyer, it will look like this. Here's the way. So it's still too early to do anything here, so we're just waiting. There are 2 minutes left until the end. The price is opposite to me moving towards the end of the minute candle. There are more sellers in it, which makes sense because the candle is red. And we're quickly coming back. I wanted to try to catch up here to take it, but now I can't catch up anymore, so we're waiting closer to the close. It's coming back down here again. There's a lot of selling pressure. So the area of interest hasn't shifted yet. 3 minutes until the end. Overall, the volume will be less than the previous one. It's a bit weak for the seller. Considering that all the volume belongs to the seller, basically he won't be able to get through. The area of interest still remains at the top, meaning there's still buyer resistance in the candle. As I mentioned initially, I will be using it. Here it's just entries for the strong side at the end of each trade. Let's see what comes of it. There are 10 seconds left until the end, but what can I say? All this time it's been trading almost right at my opening point. I opened at this price and look, it's been hovering almost around this price for 5 minutes now, plus or minus. Plus or minus, it's a matter of luck, but I'm still not satisfied with that. This first catch-up is already closing in the red, so 5 minutes. I'll have to use the third catch-up, entering for a rise. That's how it is, really. I'm showing it. I didn't like it. The date isn't responding for me. It closes on the second, on the third catch-up. I'm not rushing to re-record the video. To show you that, guys, look how everything is working out for me. Everything is perfect. It's closing from the first catch-up, or maybe even without any catch-ups at all. Here it really is. That's how it is right now. You can already see this in my latest videos. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to adjust to these movements. What is there to do? For now, we just have to wait. Next, we'll see what comes of it. In the end, we're pushing in the opposite direction. And what are we doing here? We're using the third attempt here. The percentage is terrible. Just in general, my luck left the chat apparently back last month. Somehow March has been really unlucky. Check out my statistics for March. From March 1st to 10th. Right now, I'm down 311. What happened in February? For February, I was in the positive. There was profit there. With March, I'm just not having any luck. Let's hope I won't end up in the red again here. Otherwise, I'll have to take a little break or somehow rethink my actions. Right now, I'm not trying to read every candle. I take the strong side based on logic, on the overall meaning. So it's just a matter of time. And since I don't give it my all on time, I have to open and stamp in a catch-up mode. For now, there's still plenty of time to wait. You see, there are 50 seconds left. I would already be in the plus. Basically, if only it had opened for a shorter time. But in 5 minutes, it manages to reach my point. Oh, no. After this is a signal. After this, I definitely don't want to come here anymore. This is the last trade. It will be plus minus. I really don't care. This is definitely a sign. It just happened. Oh, I don't know, guys. Let me know how things are going for you in the market. So it turns out something like this hat also just shaves it off. Well, I must say, from the third catch-up, of course I want to practice some more. By the way, I think I've already made up for my loss. I want to practice some more, but not with this pair. I might want to work on something else. Oh, this happens everywhere. Katsucha of him. No, not everywhere, but almost everywhere. So it affected a lot of pairs. Horrible. What is this? So now we're into crypto. I got it. The currency is now no different from crypto. Well, there's nothing here, so let me just go and study the futures. It's calmer. There. Try to find a situation with these stocks, by the way. There was already a pullback. it could have been considered for a pullback. If I find a situation, I'll be back, but I'll come back anyway. Well, for example, I would like to enter this situation for 5 minutes on the downside. Why the downside? Overall trend movement. The movement is clearly going down with the strong dominance of the seller because the buyer isn't showing much here. Next, the nearest point where we didn't let the seller go down but instead gave a movement upwards, which lasted a very long time after that. And now it's only the first approach to it. Over a long period of time, we've already seen a reaction from this spot. With this candle here, that's the buyer. So the buyer showed themselves weakly. Where else can he appear? He should appear right here, yes, after breaking this minimum. We're basically observing this buyer right now, and he's showing up here. Here, overall, since the buyer has already shown themselves from this top, the likelihood that he will show himself after breaking the minimum is, let's say, not very high. Well, that is, if he shows himself, he will show himself weakly. If we had just flown through without a pullback, then yes, we could say that a good buyer might emerge from here, who is capable of doing something, since there was good volume to buy from this point. But again, overall, it's a very strong movement. There are points, the absolute minimum, that is, to go wherever there is. At the moment of entry, it had already passed the maximum reaction of the buyers. I saw the buyer, but we closed off their movement. So the buyer was making some kind of buyback, while the seller was providing resistance. By the way, in this situation, you can take a chase downwards. I can't say that there is a good strong buyer behind this minimum who will be able to make a serious pullback. So for me, based on the logic here, still breaking this minimum and moving to the next one. Okay, I'm starting with 5, it's more familiar and we're waiting. Under each video, questions still arise about why 15M and where is 5M. But right now I want to use a larger time frame and choose a longer expiration time as well to catch a more global situation rather than just some small pullback movements. I just changed it. So after it started to get really volatile, the 5-minute market became too unpredictable for me to catch the pullback movement that I was able to earlier. I have it somehow. I stopped being able to do it, so for now I switched. I want to focus on this time frame. I feel more comfortable on it, let's say. But overall, I've already made videos on the hourly time frame, opening positions for 2 minutes, just catching situations with chases. It doesn't matter what time frame it is. If you analyze correctly, you can see where it's going. It's just a matter of time. So here, before the end of the base, and it hints at the base, it's interesting. Why do you have it? So logically, you're responding well compared to this nonsense waiting for 2 minutes, but I'm a bit late to connect on time. I'm closing the deal. Okay, look, we're going to make a deal. From this, it's a plus. And in the end, I have this kind of trading session. And with that, I'm wrapping up for today for those who were interested. Subscribe to the channel, leave your feedback, and don't forget to like. And now let's say goodbye.